gone, still on the ride. Mike and Need be side by side, talking thrills from coast to coast, celebrating what we love the most. Turn it up, feel the vibe, join the thrill of this ride. Hold on tight, it's time to go. Here it is, Coaster Radio.
This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I'm here with my friend E.B., and we are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
Yeah, Mike, this is going to be a fun off-season episode of CoasterRadio.com. This is kind of going back to the old days when we really would have to struggle sometimes to come up with content during the off-season. On this week's episode of Coaster Radio, we're talking with a comedian in the second half of the show. This is cool. I saw this guy on TikTok, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and the great thing is, I mean, we've had comedians on the show before. Remember, we had Bert Kreischer on the show before he became the international sensation that he is. So this is interesting. Sometimes we'll have people who are starting theme parks, and that's a disaster. That's a curse because the theme park never gets built. I think with comedians, it's the opposite. When we have a comedian on who's just starting out, they blow up into like superstardom, have their own Netflix specials and all that stuff. So tonight we're having Joe, a comedian from DC, on the show. But Joe's not just coming on to tell jokes and stuff. There is a connection to theme park fandom, and that's why we're having him on.
Yeah, this is Joe Yuke. Is that how you say his name? I'm not even sure. But yeah, Joe Yuke. And he put out a challenge for himself to ride 100 roller coasters in 2025, and he's 18 coasters in, Mike, and this is not an enthusiast. This is just a guy, like, as a bit, he was like, I want to try and ride 100 roller coasters. So we're going to talk to him about that. It's going to be really fun to find out where the challenge came from, how he's doing with it. It's really cool to see somebody jumping in feet first, like throwing themselves into the fire of coaster enthusiasm.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It's going to be really fun to talk to him. That's in the second half of the show.
Yeah, and we got a ton of other things. There's it is the off season, and like you said, sometimes we got to stretch to find news. But there are a few things happening, especially some stories about how going to the parks might change for us this year into next year. Always, right? It's like it seems like it's always changing, and that's the first story we've got tonight.
Let's get to it. It's our first drop.
Yeah, I almost hate like leading with this story, but I think it's important because, we always say what happens at Disney and Universal trickles down to the other parks.
Sure.
And so it's an article that's on MSN.com, and the headline is Disney infuriates customers even more with controversial new surge pricing strategy. And that got my attention right away, Evie. It did.
Yeah, and what did we just see? Was it one of the SeaWorld parks? They took their surge pricing up to 9% recently.
Yeah, SeaWorld Orlando people were saying that was happening.
Everything you buy at the park now has a 9% surcharge onto it. So, but that's not what we're talking about, surcharges. This is surge pricing. This is when the park is too full, they charge you more, or when the park is not full enough, they charge you more.
Well, MSN...
It's counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, MSN is comparing it to airline pricing. And so they said fares increase as more tickets sell. So that's what they're saying. Kind of the same way on an airplane when a flight is very popular and seats are selling, the later you hop on the flight and buy your ticket, the more expensive your ticket is in most cases. They are saying Disney is going to do that same thing, something they have been doing at Disneyland Paris for a while now.
Okay.
Supposedly are going to try that here in the American park. So if a lot of people are buying a ticket on June 1st, as time goes on and more people buy tickets, they're going to start raising the prices and having surge pricing. So that's what they say.
This is the counterintuitive part, right? Because to me, if you're going to charge more, the more tickets you sell, I guess the idea is that the higher ticket price will discourage people from coming to the park and buying tickets for that day. Is that the logic?
I guess
because
so.
To me, the park is going to be really crowded, which means I'm not going to have as much fun. So they should charge me less.
Right.
Because the flip side would be, well, this is like the least, the day of the year that we've sold the least number of tickets. You're going to have the park practically to yourself and not wait in any lines.
Right.
That should be the most expensive ticket.
Yes.
Not the cheapest.
And
right.
I would pay more for that day. If you could assure me that 5,000 people are going to be in the park that day and that the lines are going to be 10 minutes or less.
Make that be the $212 ticket. Not the day that there's going to be 20,000 people in the park.
Yeah, because on those days, have you ever been to a Disney park where there's
I've seen the video of like literally shoulder to shoulder on Main Street, right?
Yeah, and these guys are going to say, oh, here, we're going to charge you more for that. You're absolutely right, man. Yeah, why not say, like, here's a day. We know nobody's going to be in the park. We're going to charge you a little more. Or even, why doesn't Disney do this? Have days where they say, we're just going to let 1,000 people in the park and charge you $500.
$1,000, sure.
Yeah, that's what Discovery Cove does. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's why that ticket is so expensive, because they cap attendance. I'd rather have it, like you said, man.
Double the price, half the crowd.
Yeah,
I think that's a strategy. Hey, keep going. Triple the price and third the crowd.
Right.
What if instead the surge pricing would be like, there's so many people coming into the park that they just put somebody, like they get like Mr. Beast standing out in front of the park, like, I'll give you $500 not to come in.
Right.
Take
exactly.
the deal.
Yeah.
Take the deal.
Yeah. Jeez.
That could be the surge pricing.
They need that. They need like a Mr. Beast out there. Yeah. That could be like their new character, like the Beast. Why not get the Beast out there instead of Mr. Beast? Yeah. They don't need the YouTube dude. They could just get their own licensed IP out there. So
sure, why not? I think that's
Yeah.
great. All right.
So
what do we got here for quick hits here, Mike?
Yeah, we do have
Let's do some
quick hits.
Quick hits.
Fastest ever getting to quick hits, I think. I love it, man. That's so good.
I think like you said, it's, this is bad news from Disney and we just want to poo-poo it and move on.
Yes, exactly. Here's some good news, though. When Top Thrill 2 opens at Cedar Point going to give us something for free. I mean, all the other parks seem to be charging for everything, but there's going to be free lockers for Top Thrill 2.
Why? I'm suspect.
You got to put all your stuff in that locker.
Why are they doing the lockers for free? Because they like to charge people and make people pay money for lockers. And so why are they doing it for this? I'm just very confused as to why they would suddenly be nice. I mean, this is not something nice. There's a strategic move for this, right?
I think it should all be like Universal. Universal forces people, if you want to ride one of their roller coasters, to put your items in a locker. They go so far as to have metal detectors before you go on the roller coaster. If a park is going to do that, they should do like Universal and say, look, for the amount of time you're going to be in the line and ride the ride, you get the locker for that amount of time. And I love what they did at Velocicoaster. They make it very easy with the locker where you put it in one side and then you go around at the exit and you pull it out the other side.
Yep.
Excellent. I like that they're doing it at Top Thrill 2. If they're going to force us to throw our phones in and all that stuff, you got to make it free, or otherwise people are going to try to get around it.
That's it. That's the reason why, is they are really, really, really trying to prevent people from sneaking stuff on the ride. Because I have, in recent years, my go-to is a thin fanny pack.
Yeah.
That I can put my phone in and I can hide my keys in and I can put whatever. And I just put it right under my t-shirt.
Yep. Yeah.
And I ride the ride, and I ride the ride with my stuff because I don't want to have to pay for the lockers. It sucks to have to pay for the lockers. And Top Thrill 2, I probably would use your free locker and I would actually lock up my stuff. And people, I hope people aren't listening like, EB's going to hit somebody in the head with his phone.
No, you'll put it in the locker. And like the park with the 9% surcharge, by the way, is pretty expensive with their lockers, And so, I mean, some of these places really charge you a lot for them. So I like that idea. I think that should work. I'd like to see, Cedar Point is an industry leader.
Am I a bad person because I sneak my fanny pack on the ride? Now I'm feeling bad about it.
I think, though, that
Should I not be doing that, Mike?
You are a person who...
Oh, you're questioning this.
No.
What if you have what if you have like the Coaster Boy zippered cargo pants?
Yeah.
right?
No, I think you're responsible. You're not taking your phone out on the ride. You're
No, of
keeping it
course
zipped
not.
up, and there you're fine.
It's fully secured.
No, it's
fully
for the,
secured.
It's the dum-dums who are taking their phone out for their TikToks.
Well, and I'm not like on Dueling Dragons throwing pennies at people.
Right, and you're not doing that either. Yeah.
No, and I don't have my keys loose in my pocket. They're zippered up.
No.
Okay. I don't want people to listen and be like, he's a bad dude.
Yeah. One of the best things I ever saw that was some dum-dum riding Apollo's chariot, and he's holding the phone. Ooh, and that thing just went out of his hand, and it floated beautifully over one of the hills and then just took off. It was like slow motion almost. It was wild how it was doing
because he dropped it, but you were also dropping or whatever. So
yes,
just like,
yes, it was very
I could just
cool.
see him like reaching for it, just inches out of his reach. No.
Yeah. And I'm not somebody who likes to see somebody suffer, but I was happy that dude who was like, with his phone lost it. I did smile. I was like, that's good. That's good. And it didn't hit anybody. It just went down probably where the geese are that hit Fabio back in the day. So
yes, the geese.
That was that. You remember, this is our second quick hit, how much, I think you loved it too. I loved it. We loved Disney Quest back in the day. That used to be at Downtown Disney or the West Side down there. It was this big 5-story block that they built, this big square box, and inside a ton of virtual reality games that you could play and experiences. And when it first opened, it was state of the art. They even had a floor that was completely full of like old school 80s arcade games.
Yep.
So much fun. They didn't update it. They didn't do a good enough job of keeping that up with the technology. So however long it was there, just attendance declined, and finally it failed. They even built one in Chicago. Kind of the same thing happened. That failed. There were supposed to be Disney Quests all over the country, all over the world. That didn't happen either. So then the building was demolished. They put in its place the NBA experience, which also failed. So now there's this big empty 2-story thing that's there right now. But we are going to get something in its place at Disney Springs, and a lot of people are saying it's going to go right into that same spot. It's called Level 99. And it's got a little bit, I don't know if you've seen the videos there, EB. There's a wild video they have in their Rhode Island location, I think, but it's a drone flying through all the different experiences they have at Level 99. But it's virtual reality games, but a lot of them are where you play against one other person. So you and a friend go through and try all of these experiences where you duel one another. And it's very interesting, and it gives me Disney Quest vibes. It really does.
I'm looking at it. I've never heard of this before until this announcement came out. I guess some of it is VR, but a lot of it is practical, I think, too, where you're actually doing physical challenges and playing all sorts of games. They've got like that game where you have to hop across the lighted blocks on the floor. There's games where you have to like hit the buttons in sequence. There's like games where you have to like navigate physical mazes and like put together challenges. Like it reminds me of Legends of the Hidden Temple when they were trying to assemble the golden monkey or whatever.
Right.
It's that kind of stuff, but for grown-ups with too much money.
Yeah.
So
I like this. I like this because it's fun to go to Disney
Springs. A world
Springs.
of challenges, it says.
Yeah, and you've got to watch. Especially you and I are video producers, so I love the drone shot that they have in there, where somebody flew the. Have you ever seen those excellent drone pilots? Like remember last year?
Oh, the racing drones or whatever. Yeah.
And the guy flew one around Worlds of Fun or something like that, but they're flying it through Level 99, and it's really great. But it really gives you a sense of what the park is or what the attraction is. I've got to say though, it's not Disney Quest level. Like Disney Quest was really inspired, I thought, and had really great stuff when it first opened. And the fact that they had that beautiful floor full of arcade games was so fun that you could just walk through and play. That was so great. But I'm excited for this. I think this is good. It's you need some different types of experiences.
Oh, I'm watching it here. This Level 99, like you said, in Providence, Rhode Island. It's a huge facility, it looks like. Yeah. This is the Level 99 Providence drone tour. I'm watching it right now. You can just Google it if you want to find it yourselves.
Yeah, really cool.
Okay, so there's like swinging axes. Oh my gosh, this place is gigantic. And it's got like a fancy bar and a restaurant in the middle here we're flying through.
Yeah, and that's what gives it the Disney Quest vibe, is that it has like a place to eat, drink. It's you can go in there and spend a couple hours. Good stuff. Especially on a rainy day in Orlando. It's a good place to go.
Yeah, like I'm seeing they have like this button pushing game. They have that in our mall. like just for free out there in the kiddie play area.
Yeah.
But it does look like there's different rooms and all these different challenges. It does remind me of the Legends of the Hidden Temple for my millennial friends who used to watch Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. So anyway, something exciting to look forward to there in Orlando.
Cool.
Another thing that people are getting excited about is Epic Universe. If you follow, the hashtag Epic Universe on X, you see that every day people are getting excited because they're starting to do cast member or team member previews.
Oh my gosh,
at Universal, and you can bring your friends to that. So, but they have a no photography rule, so we're not going to see any photos from the ground level.
Will we not see any photos, or do you think somebody's going to sneak it in there?
The problem is if they can trace it back to the team member who did it. That's not good. That's not good for your job. Yeah, because that's the thing. So I think they're going to be checking people as they go in and stuff. But how great is it if you work for Universal Orlando?
Actually get in there and see it ahead of time.
Early, really so cool. That's cool. But what they are doing are starting to give more ticket packages, and tickets are slowly starting to be made available. If you are a Florida resident, you can buy a 3-day Epic Universe inclusive ticket. That includes a 1-day pass to visit Epic Universe, and then the other 2 days can be used for Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure, or a Volcano Bay.
Okay.
But then there is also one that is Harry Potter centric. So you can have 4 nights in one of the hotels, and it comes with a 2-day park ticket, but also 1 day for Epic Universe. But that also comes with a bunch of Harry Potter stuff, like early admission to Wizarding World, ice cream at their ice cream place,
a special breakfast.
Yeah, at the Leaky Cauldron, all
That's
that
cool.
Stuff. So, yeah, so some cool stuff.
New packages coming out. Well, and I know, early on we saw the packages, and it was like you have to, buy the giant package and just get the 1 day at Epic Universe. So it seems like they're starting to get a little bit more friendly to the wallet with some of these smaller packages now. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, it's going to get all the way down to where you can just get the ticket and go.
Right. It's coming. But, it's good to see all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
And one last thing here, and I'm kind of bummed about this because I always take a ride on it, and I like it when I'm at Hershey Park. They are removing their Sky Ride. It's kind of this thing that's happening where a lot of rides that people like are being removed. And it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, this is their gondola ride, right? This is their gondola ride that goes right. Doesn't it go right through Great Bear or right over Super Duper Looper? It's
very
on that
close.
end of the park because it's an old ride. And this is not a surprise, I feel like, because these attractions have been going out of the parks. All of the parks have been taking out their gondola rides or their sky rides. But yeah, it's too bad that it's going away. And this is a ride that we don't want to go away. It shouldn't go away.
Yeah. I think that if you have a sky ride in your park, you should ride it as much as you can this season. Because I think it's one of those things. I think they are disappearing left and right.
Every season could be the last season if your park still has a sky ride. Busch Gardens still has theirs, yeah?
Yes.
Williamsburg?
Yeah,
Well,
and Tampa, although Tampa did
it.
that weird thing where if you're not a pass member, you have to pay $5 to ride it, which is very strange. But they did that last season. So I don't know. I don't know how long those have for the world. I think there's a lot of legal eagles out there who probably charge a bunch of insurance for those type things, but
Indiana Beach, they don't even have the one where you get inside the little tub. Indiana Beach is literally a ski lift.
Oh,
it's a bench, and then you just have a bar that goes.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of like the one
covering you.
Is that like at Knoebels too, where you go up the mountain, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's like a ski lift one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the kind of ride where if you get on there with like your 5-year-old, you have your arm around your 5-year-old the entire ride.
Oh yeah. I sometimes look at like pictures from the 50s and 60s of people on ski lifts, and it's like there's like the tiniest bar, and you've got little kids on there riding it and stuff, and safety was different back then, man. That's for sure. Yep. So this leads us to something that we are going to do on next week's show.
I like this.
We've got an interactive topic for you because it's a ton of rides are being removed, but some of these rides, people are kind of saying like, wait, why are you removing it? I like that ride. I don't want it to go. I'm talking about things like King Dakar and, even rides like Anaconda at King's Dominion. Like people didn't necessarily love it, but they were kind of bummed to see it go, right? You don't want to lose a roller coaster. You want to keep as many of those rides, but there are also flat rides and stuff that are just being yanked out left and right. Some of these are people's favorites. So let's talk about attractions that really do need to leave. Let's talk, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be in your home park. What is an attraction out there that has lived long enough that it is time to put it out of its misery? And so we want to know what this is. Now, it's not just a ride that you dislike personally. Like, don't say like, oh, I didn't like riding this ride. It doesn't have enough G's for me. It's got to be a ride that just needs to go, and for whatever reason, the parks are keeping it around.
Okay, so no, personal vendettas. So I can't just say Cedar Point Blue Streak.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
or Millennium Farce. Say that.
Yeah, you can't like just throw out something that is getting a ton of riders. You've got
something you're mad at.
Yeah, you've got to like think of something that is like really just taking up space in the park, but for whatever reason, the park is keeping it around.
I think you have to say, so this is a great interactive question for our listeners, and we love our interactive questions. This is a chance for the listeners to step up and contribute some good content, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's also, as you say, what ride or attraction has to go, you have to give your justification. You have to give your reason. Is it just because it's an eyesore? Is it because it's on like a prime piece of land that you think could be used for something better? Is it because maybe it's in a part of the park that has a theme and it doesn't fit the theme and it's kind of ruining it for you?
Right.
That's what I want to know is why does it have to go?
Yes.
Not only just the ride itself, but why does it have to go? And make it good, people. Don't just be like, this is the worst water slide in all of them. Like, don't even pick a water slide. Pick a real ride, and let's really get rid of some rides.
Yeah, and don't just go like, oh, it's rough. Like, that's not good enough. It's got to be like a real reason, like something that if a park heard you say it, they'd be like, yeah, you're right.
You know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So there we go. So that is next week.
I want some good examples of like, because it's racist.
Yeah.
Which is, we have seen attractions go for exactly that reason.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Let's go for that too. Let's do that.
Maybe it's flying under the radar, the racist radar, man. And you need to like get it out of there. So you know what? I think that would be good. So let us know. There are a ton of different ways that you can interact with us. Of course, we love to hear from you. That is the best way to do it. So there are a couple ways. You can download the coasterradio.com iPhone app and hit the record button that's there. It sends a MP3 file direct to us. But if you don't have the app, you can just record on your phone an MP3, send that to feedback@coasterradio.com. You can also send us an email to that address, but you can hit us up on all our socials, Instagram, X, Facebook. We'll ask for them all there. But like we said, we love hearing from you. That's the best way. This is a podcast. It's an audio podcast. Don't make us read your answers. Let's hear from you guys.
Yeah, please do. Send in that audio file to feedback@coasterradio. Next week's interactive topic, what ride actually needs to be removed? So we've been seeing so many rides getting removed, but what ride actually needs to be removed? Ride or attraction? Yeah. Let's throw in attraction, and nobody else is allowed to say the zoo at Lagoon Park.
There you go.
That's my answer.
Exactly. Can I say one other thing too, EB? Let's keep the voice calls to under 60 seconds because some people like to.
You don't need to tell a story.
They pontificate and they go on for like 5 minutes or so. We don't want that. We want it fast paced next week. We want to go through a bunch of rides and talk about them. So if you do send in a call, make it 30 seconds. But if you really need some time, 60 seconds is the top. How's that?
Write it out.
Yes, there you go. Yes, exactly. Yeah, practice it a few times.
Practice it. Yeah. Do a rehearsal in front of the mirror.
Do a rehearsal. Yeah, ask your friends, how does this sound?
I was going to tell you guys my submission for the interactive topic, the ride that needs to be removed, but I just looked in the mirror and I don't really like the way I look, so I'm not going to do it.
Yes. If like you were going to go and audition for American Idol, would you like just walk in cold or would you practice? No. Same thing for the Coaster Radio podcast. I know this is not American Idol. We're not on that level. I get it.
I love the idea of people like recording and like listening back and then like sending it around like, hey, you guys, can you listen to this? I'm really looking for some creative feedback.
Please do. Yeah. Just it makes this easier on all of us.
What ride actually needs to be removed? Feedback at Coaster Radio. There you go.
So let's take a break. When we come back, I am excited to talk to Joe. He's a stand-up comic based out of D.C. We're going to find out more about him, but also about his quest to ride 100 roller coasters. I want to hear what he's been on so far. He was just in Southern California, EB, so let's find out about that. And is he using his stand-up comedian career to travel? Like, is he going to go to Indiana and go to Holiday World? Like, what parks does he want to get to? Because he just can't go to D.C. and L.A.
Does he even know the parks? Because he's not an enthusiast. So he might need our help.
Yes, to hit 100 coasters, you can't just go D.C. and L.A., right? You got to go around. So let's see what he is planning to do, and we'll find out all about it right after this.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins and EB.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend EB. In just a few minutes, we're going to be interviewing a stand-up comedian, and I'm excited about this. Not only are we going to learn about I want to learn about what it's like to be on the road as a stand-up comic. I think that's great. Joe works in DC. He works in LA. He's actually done shows overseas as well, so that's fun. Let's find out about that. But also, I want to know about this quest of his to ride 100 roller coasters. I mean, Joe, as far as I know, we'll find out, but I don't think he is a roller coaster enthusiast. I'm not even sure if he is a listener to this podcast or anything. I have no idea. But it's going to be interesting to find out why he wants to do this and if how he's planning on getting to 100 by December 31st of this year.
Yeah, his quest kind of went viral, I think, when he announced it, and then a bunch of people were picking up on it, like, would you do this?
Yeah,
ride 100 roller coasters?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is going to be fun talking to Joe, how this all came to be, and kind of, how he's feeling about his new internet fame. I think he has gone a little bit viral with this quest of his. And I feel like a lot of people listening right now are saying, 100 roller coasters in a year? I could do that easy.
Yeah, right.
Probably, but let's see how Joe's doing with it. That's what I want to know.
Exactly.
Somebody brand new to the hobby. You
Yeah.
know, and maybe he's ridden the first 18, which is how far I think he's gotten so far, and he hates it. He's like, damn it.
Maybe he's going to be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
This
I'm done.
sucks. I hate roller coasters.
Yeah. Because, once you start chasing that dragon, man.
Jeez.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
All right.
What number are you up to these days, EB? Are you past
330 something, I think.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's good. I'm still hanging at like 250 or something like that.
All right. Okay.
Not great, but not bad either. Okay, so we're going to talk to Joe here in a few minutes. We told you about the interactive topic coming up next week, but in 2 weeks, we have one of our favorite interactive shows of the year. It's one of those that we love to do every season, Hot or Not. It's coming up Wednesday, March 12th. You can join us and be a part of the show. You can help decide what the show is going to be Wednesday, March 12th, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we're doing the live look-ins again. So live look-ins are Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. You got to be here for March 12th, the Wednesday at 9 p.m. because it's Hot or Not. It's not only going to be the live look-in, but there's the true interactivity that everybody loves, where you get to decide and vote in real time with fancy graphics on your laptop and everything. We'll throw out a topic, and then the listeners tell us, is it hot or not?
That's right.
So much fun.
It really helps if we've got hundreds of people in there doing it.
We need a lot of people because, we don't want to just have like 10 people that are all skewing things.
Yes, exactly.
We need good representation.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the fun. I mean, imagine, like, we might say...
I think everything is hot.
Exactly, right? And then you get everybody saying 100% hot, and the show's not fun. But let's say you say single rail roller coasters. Are they hot in 2025? You go to your phone, you vote on it, and then we see in real time the number switching. And it really kind of gives a good sense of what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, helps drive the discussion and conversation.
Yes.
Love it.
So put it on your calendar. Put it on your phone to a little reminder that, 10 minutes before 9 o'clock on Wednesday, March 12th, that you want to be there and join us. It's really easy. So that is coming up then. All right, EB, I'm excited about this because, like you were saying, I was like just surfing Instagram and I came across somebody doing some stand-up comedy out in LA. And then I also saw on their feed, because I started laughing and like what they were doing on the stand-up. But then I saw that they are actually trying to ride 100 roller coasters in 2025. And so immediately I said, this is somebody that we need to get on coasterradio.com.
Yeah, so this is a podcast for super coaster nerds, but I don't think our guest Joe is quite prepared for what it means to be a giant nerd about roller coasters. But he's in it now, in it to win it, 100 coasters in 2025. Let's welcome to the podcast, Joe Yuke. Welcome. There he is.
Yes,
there he is.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So I guess standard intro.
Yeah, Joe, we are doing great. You were actually in DC, which is where my studio is. EB is in Indiana, so we're like both DC locals. This is pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm based in DC. I was just in California for the weekend, which the weather couldn't have been nicer over there. compared to DC. But yeah, no, it's cool.
I know. I'm one of those people that I've born and raised in DC, but I get pulled. Like I have a pull to California. I don't know what it is. Like I want to go there. I feel like even in a past life, I might have lived there or something because I've got this like magnet that takes me to California. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Well, I grew up in California, and then 3 years ago, I picked up and moved out to DC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it here. So it's a really cool city. It's a good stand-up city, but it is like a little bit smaller of a scene compared to what they have out in California. But I think that works well for me. There's a lot of opportunities out here compared to the giant machine that is like Los Angeles. So it's comfortable, and I like the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like being a stand-up comedian, especially Mike and I, we worked with comedians and things like that, but it was years ago and it's very different now. So let's talk about being a stand-up and how you really do have to utilize social media and sort of what that means for you. I mean, did you come up with social media as a part of what you do, or did you have to sort of figure out how to translate yourself for that audience? Because that's really where this 100 Coasters Challenge, I feel like, really took off for you.
Well, yeah, that's a really good point, and that's very perceptive, I think, right now, because people are like making their careers and going as far as like Netflix becoming household names just off of like YouTube, TikTok, and everything. That's like not a natural skill for me. I just like, being myself online however I can. And roller coasters, which is, what we're here to talk about. It's like something that I really do enjoy. I grew up like a Disney fan, big Disney fan. We would go like a bunch of times every year as a kid. And so I'm a certified Disney adult now.
Okay.
There you go.
And so, yeah, it just felt like natural. It's like kind of like a post about what I like to do. And I like to travel. I like to do stand-up. And then I like amusement parks, theme parks, and all that. So the challenge that I gave to myself was particularly at New Year's, because like I was with my family, and we were at dinner, and we were going around saying like what our New Year's resolutions were going to be. And like, in the past, I've like tried working on myself. It doesn't work out usually. And so I was like, all right, I was just going to do something fun. Like, I'll just do 100 roller coasters. I was like, I'm going to do 100 roller coasters. And then everyone in my family was like, that's impossible. That you can't do that. Like that'll take 2 years. That'll take way too long. And the more like they were like saying that, because at first it was kind of a joke, but then the more they kept saying that, I was like, no, I think I could do this. I really do think it's possible, because I have the Six Flags Cedar Fair like pass that goes to all the parks.
Okay.
So it was like, it was a year. Like, I could do this. You don't understand. And then so the more doubt I got, the more motivated I got. And then I started posting about it. So that was fun.
Yeah, because you might be able to pull this off even just within a couple hours drive of DC. Like, there's so many parks within like a 3 or 4 hour drive of DC. But then also if you're getting out to California, I think he could do this.
Yeah. So let's get into the technicalities here. So you already were something of a theme park fan, and you've already been to, I guess, several parks and ridden a lot of rides. Are you able to go back and re-ride a roller coaster, or is it 100 fresh and brand new roller coasters? Would you consider yourself, a roller coaster enthusiast already?
So yeah, I guess I'm just like a YouTube fan. Like I spend a lot of time on YouTube for fun, and I started getting recommended like a lot of YouTube content, and so like some people get fed down certain like political pipelines, but like my YouTube algorithm is like, no, you're gonna be a nerd. Like, you're gonna be a roller coaster nerd. So that was no, it worked out, and I like it. There's just like one channel on YouTube that was like Coast Tunes or something, which I really enjoyed watching. It was really funny because like a couple months into watching, at some point, one of the videos, he's like, this guy is hilarious, and he's talking about like applying to colleges, and I was like, whoa, am I watching a high school student right now? Like that's insane. But like Yeah, no, it was really good. And I do spend a lot of time on YouTube watching, so I'm familiar with like, some of the stuff, some of the lingo. I believe in your last podcast, you were saying like I might be a member of the GP.
Yes, there you
and,
go.
So I know what that means. So I feel like that makes me not a member of the GP, but I'm also not like, I've never been to Cedar Point. I haven't done like international trips or anything like that. So I'm like, I'm a viewer first and foremost of like other people's roller coaster amusement park adventures. So like, getting to 100, I think that would make me kind of a bona fide.
There's no escaping it if you successfully complete this challenge. So are you going to be counting the coasters you've already ridden? You're up to, is it 18 after this California trip? That's just this year.
I am counting the stuff that I've ridden before in my life. So it's just like 100 roller coasters.
And you're at 18 at this point in February?
All 18 were in California because everything in DC, everything in this area is closed.
So go through some of the ones you've ridden so far. I'm just kind of curious, like of those 18, what were some of the highlights, but maybe what were some of the lowlights too? Yeah,
and are those all 18 legacy from when you were a kid, or have you ridden any this year?
I went to Knott's Berry Farm. That was the first park, was Knott's Berry Farm, and I had been to that like a long time ago as a kid. But I think I got everything I rode was like a new credit, because like the one ride that I did go on when I was a kid was Montezuma's Revenge. I remember that very distinctly. And so everything that I rode at Knott's was a new roller coaster for me. That was great. That was a really good trip. It was like right out of the holiday season, so it was kind of like insanely packed. It was actually a miracle that I was able to get on Accelerator, because it was, I don't know why they did this, but they like kept it closed for like the first 6 hours of the day, and they started testing it like after that. And so like people are like, is it going to open? There's just tons of confusion. And then all of a sudden it opens and everyone's rushing over there. It was a miracle that I got on it, because I had to pay for like the one ride fast pass system that they have. And so I got that, and that was amazing. That was my favorite ride that I've ridden this year. So it was great. And then after that, I did Disneyland.
There we go.
I got some there.
So do you think with your stand-up career, I mean, are you planning on traveling to like some different places, but maybe trying to do gigs where near parks? Like, would that be
do a tour and do a tour?
Yeah.
Both. 2 tours.
Like, could you do that? Like, is that something that's possible?
Yeah, that's actually that I've done that in the past, just a little bit. So one of my favorite trips that I've taken just for stand-up personal trip was going to the Mall of America in Minnesota, because they have their little amusement park set up there in the middle. But then there's a comedy club in that mall. I mean, what doesn't that mall have? They have an aquarium. They have everything. And so they have a stand-up comedy club, and I reached out to them, and we did a show. And the day of, I was just like hanging out in the park, and then went to this comedy club, and I was like, this is the life. Like, this is what I want. Your career. But like, that's pretty much where I'm at in my stand-up career, is that I'm reaching out to places to get on shows. Not necessarily they're reaching out to me yet, but and then I do most of my stuff in the DC area, because people know me in the DC area.
And it's good too, like all the social media stuff, I think is gonna help get you out there even more, because that's where I saw you. And then I just started going through your different reels and went onto your channel and was watching some stuff. So it's really good. Like, I laughed. One of my favorite things, and I'd love for the audience to go check this out, but you were overseas, right? And you did a stand-up set overseas, and you had I don't want to give away the punchline for anybody who's out there, but it was a great line about, what were they doing? Like that they were shooting tourists with water guns?
Well, yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
In Barcelona, while we were there, there's these huge protests against tourism, because I guess tourism is encouraging like building owners to like just sell their places for Airbnbs. And so it's the housing crisis, so like big economic story there. But they were protesting that actively while my family was there on vacation by like walking around and squirting tourists with squirt guns. And so I was like, I have to talk about this. This is so funny. Plus it's like 95 degrees outside. Like a squirt gun would not be the worst thing. But that was an amazing trip. That was my first time doing stand-up outside of the United States. I was like super nervous. Because like I'm like, what is that going to be? What are they going to understand? Are any references going to carry over? Like I have jokes about like baseball that I'm like, that's not going to work, right. Because they don't relate to those, home run. I don't know how it's going to work. But, the comedy club in Barcelona was English speaking. And that was just an amazing opportunity because there's other comics who are like from all over the world and you just get to be like, oh yeah, it's kind of the same thing internationally. I more or less know what I'm doing now wherever I go.
Yeah. Cause stand-up comedy is such a great thing. Like I have such a respect for it because it's just you and a mic. I mean, it's not like you and a guitar. It's not like you and 5 other people. It's just you. And you've got to like, just be there in front of the audience and just make them accept you, within probably like 30 seconds or something like that. It's amazing stuff. It really is.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. It's kind of like DC is such a city of young professionals, right? And everybody after work does their kickball. Yep. That's kind of the thing. Everyone does their little kickball league. But for me, it's like I don't do sports. So I was like, stand up provides that. It's after work activity, and it's community. It's a really strong community too.
Yeah. So I'm wondering like if this is something that like you can make some appearances, because this is our 20th year of doing this podcast. It would be awesome to hear from you throughout the year as you're getting closer and closer to this goal. And even if you want to reach out, like the one cool thing about the listeners here is that they know like theme parks and roller coasters, and they know areas to go. Like you said, like a Cedar Point trip might be in order because how many roller coasters could you nail, in one park to get you closer to 100?
I think that would be really fun. I think that would be really fun to keep updates going and getting some advice. If anybody knows any comedy clubs that you go to.
Yeah, if you keep in touch and you let us know kind of where you're going or where you're heading, then the listeners, they will help you out. Absolutely. So please do. Feedback at Coaster Radio is our email. But then also we do have, we play live trip reports on the show where listeners will record audio into their phones and then email it to us. So that's an option too, where we count you up to 100, where you can, especially the coasters that have a big impact, where it's like, this is the worst one I've ever ridden. This is the best one I've ever ridden.
Yes.
You can record some audio live on the spot and email it to us. We'll totally play that as a trip report in a future episode of Coaster Radio. So I do want to get into, though, speaking of all of the coasters that you're going to be riding this year, do you have a plan? Is this just like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it? Or do you have an itinerary? Are there parks you have to hit? Are you going to make the Cedar Point pilgrimage? Or are you just going to try and do your best and drive up to Pennsylvania a bunch of times?
I have concepts of a plan. Let's say that.
Good.
It's a plan. It's gonna work out. Mostly I've done the parks around here. So King's Dominion, Hershey Park. I did Six Flags America, which, oh my God, if I can avoid doing that, I would be okay with that.
Sure. Yeah.
But Six Flags New Jersey and then Busch Gardens I've done. So I'm like, okay, I can scrap together, a decent amount of coasters there. But then also I do want to go to Cedar Point this year. I've never been, so I want to do that. And yeah, I think the Northern California parks, which I have family there, so that makes it easier. There's a couple good things there. And plus, as far as I am aware, the Great America there is going to close soon. So
yeah,
got to ride those rides. But also, I will say Hershey Park is another one that I did one of those days going to the park and then going to a comedy show afterwards. Harrisburg Comedy Club is this like really neat not little, it's actually a pretty big club. It's one where Shane Gillis, who's like a really famous comedian right now, he like I think developed a lot of his material in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Hershey Park, Harrisburg little trip is something that I want to do again. So yeah, I think it'll be good until maybe like things start getting cold again. Then I'll be like, okay, I have to figure out.
The pressure will be on.
Those West Coast moves, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You've got like a sweet spot time there between like April and October, you know, even and the good thing is the parks are open with Halloween and stuff, so you can go into there. So
true.
Yeah.
If you can fly into Cincinnati or Louisville, you know, you can get to Kentucky Kingdom, Holiday World, you can get to Kings Island, and then you come out to Bloomington, where I'm at. We've got the Comedy Attic. I think it's pretty well known on the circuit. So you can come and try to book a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the tips he needs, Mike. This is the tips.
Yeah, see, we can help. We can be very helpful.
We're going to write the itinerary.
Yeah, so this is good. Well, Joe, tell people where they can find you, like, you know, to give all your information of where people can see your social stuff, because I know that the listeners are going to want to follow along on this quest.
I've got like 2 things, the YouTube channel, so that's Stand Up Guy Joe, and then Instagram is just my name, Joe Yuke, no spaces, but then the E's are 3s because, you know, it's very clever. That's it.
Great. Yeah.
You can follow along on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And this is, I think, is the first of many appearances here on the show, because we'd love to just keep track, not only of your stand-up career, but how close you're going to get to see if you can get to 100 by the end of 2025. This is good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. This is really, really fun. And I'm glad to be able to have an outlet for this amusement park side of myself.
Yeah. I'm sure the rest, you know, the people you talk to, it's like, what are you doing? But you can talk to us and we'll be like, that's cool, man.
Yes, exactly.
That's really cool. We'll validate you. We are here to validate you, Joe.
There you go.
I need that. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
All
indeed.
Great. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again.
Sweet.
So that was fun, EB. I dug that. It's always interesting to talk to new people. I mean, one of the fun things here about doing this show for so long is we have a lot of old friends who come on the show, but I like meeting a new friend, and I like the fact that he can come back on throughout this season and update us on his quest to 100. It's pretty cool.
I think we made a new friend tonight, Mike. This is very nice.
Yeah, so that's great. Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's fun. It's an interesting career, stand-up comedy, because you're on the road a lot, you're meeting a lot of different people, and I always wonder, like, you know, your act that you have, like, you may hone it in one city, but what is it like when you go to like a city in the Midwest or the South and stuff like that?
You have to tailor it. You have to gauge and in real time make adjustments and things. I mean, that's the whole thing. But I think also you and we have worked with, you know, professional comedians and things before.
Yeah.
And it is weird when they draw inspiration for their acts from real life. And it's like, is he talking about me?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Is that what's happening right now? But then the flip flop is when you're out socially and it's like, are you just having a conversation or are you doing a bit right now?
Yes, right. That's the thing. Yeah, because a lot of comics I know, when you're out with them, you can't tell if they're on or maybe they're always on. You know, it's like when they're out, they're always on. So
you and I can go out with a group of friends and tell an amusing story, but it's not like something we talked about this a little while ago in the show. We didn't rehearse it in the mirror before going out to eat with our friends.
Right. And it's funny, like professional comics, like even Chris Rock will go to like a local comedy club,
a small club to get,
and just jump on stage and try stuff and see what works, you know? And like you hear about the major acts doing that all the time. And that's what you have to do. You just like Chris Rock just can't get up and start talking. He hones that thing. He writes that thing for years before you see it on Netflix. So.
We should have asked that about Joe if he's doing his comedy in the queue line, like practicing.
That's a good. See, that's what he should do.
I'm waiting in line all this time, and then he just gets up there and he's like, "What's the deal with lap bars?"
Seriously, who are these people? Yeah,
who are these trim brakes?
Who are these people in front of me in line? Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Who's that prince going on that other queue, getting in front of us? Now he sounds a little bit like Rooney.
Yeah.
I want Sloan out front now, alone with you.
Yeah, Rooney.
All right, that's enough. Speaking of new friends, Mike, let's talk about our old friends, our friends who support the show week after week at patreon.com/Coaster Radio. If you like this content, tell us that you like the content by throwing a couple of bucks at us. Subscribe to the show. Remember, you get a free month if you do an annual subscription. Go to patreon.com/Coaster Radio. There's perks, there's bonus content. You can find out about how you can join the birthday club, the snail mail club, the Discord. Patreon.com/Coaster Radio.
Yes, and we want to thank all our friends there, everybody who makes the show possible. But at the $20 level, people there get a little special something extra. You get your name read on the show, EB.
That's right. Let's say thanks to Alex Payne, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick the Sweatshirt Guy, our friends at Club Z, the two bearded coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, David Sakala, Dino, Grace, John Brody, John Brown, and Josh Combs.
Also Justin Padilla, Karen and Lee Howren, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Paulo de los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Shane Mankiewicz, our friends at the Thrill Nerds, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter.
That's right, and also a special shout out to our friend Kyle at Lindner Design Company, specializing in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. You can find them on Instagram at Lindner Design, makers of our fine new CoasterRadio.com logo for the 20th season, Mike.
It's beautiful. And don't forget, next week, our interactive topic, what ride really needs to be removed from a park? And we can't wait to hear all your different answers next week on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at coasterradio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening.
Peace out, suckers.
Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.